Detective, before we left on break, we discussed the directions that Kelly Cochran advised you that Chris Regan needed to get to her house. I next asked you about the knee brace. Was there any discussion regarding the knee brace and what was said, if there was?
The only thing I recall about that is Kelly had told us that Chris didn't like wearing the knee brace, and that the knee brace, she saw it in his apartment building.
That was the last time she saw the knee brace was in the apartment building?
Yes, his apartment.
Did you also speak with Jason Cochran on October 31st, 2014?
Yes.
Where did that occur?
That occurred immediately right after interviewing Kelly in Detective Sergeant Bracken's vehicle. Detective Sergeant Bracken and I interviewed Jason.
Your Honor, at this time I would offer the joint exhibit of 8A, which is the Jason Cochran interview of 10/31/2014 with Detective Bracken.
The objection 8A is received.
Did you speak with him first, or did you speak with the defendant first?
We spoke with the defendant, Kelly, first, and Jason immediately afterwards.
And when you say we, are you referring to Detective Brackett?
That's correct, yes.
Why did you return to speak with Jason Cochran?
Okay, well, that was the first time I interviewed. I would be interviewing Jason. I didn't interview him the first time.
And why did you go interview him on that date?
For the same reason of talking with her to find out what both of them had to say about the October 14th, 15th, their activities.
And were you able to determine from Jason Cochran where he was on those dates?
Not precisely. He told us because he's not working the 14th and 15th, nothing stands out as being remarkable. He agreed when I asked, when he wasn't working and he had nothing going on in his life, he would fish, maybe walk, over a walk, go visit his neighbor. He didn't really have a whole lot going on because of some health issues, and he agreed when I asked him, so every day is like kind of a Saturday, and he did. So on the 14th and 15th, he said nothing stood out.
What, if anything, did he say about whether he knew if Chris Regan had ever been at his house?
He said he didn't know.
Was there any discussion with him regarding whether he was a hunter?
Yes, he said he hunted down in Indiana for deer, pheasant, quail, maybe something else. When he asked him, what he hunted with, he said he owned a 12-gauge single-shot shotgun. That's the only firearm.
Did he indicate whether he had any other guns?
No, we asked if he owned any other guns, and he said no.
Was there something that you received from Jason Cochran on that date?
Yes, we Detective Sergeant Bracken had a search warrant to seize his cell phone. So between the two of us, we served the search warrant and seized his cell phone.
Were you able to go into the Cochran's residence on that date, on 10/31?
Yes.
And what was the reason for going into the residence?
Well, it was twofold. Number one, his cell phone was inside. We asked him where it was at. He said it was inside. And we told him that we needed to get his cell phone, and he said he'd go get it. That was the first case. But we also wanted to not just go inside and get the cell phone. We also asked for his consent to take a walk through his house. And what I explained to him is we wanted to make sure that he didn't have any. We wanted to make sure that Chris Regan wasn't tied to a chair and mouth duct taped, and he wasn't hanging out in some room somewhere. So he did provide his consent and gave us a tour of the house where we checked the tree.
Was this an in-depth tour?
No.
How long did it take?
It was approximately 8-9 minutes.
Did you see Chris Regan in the house tied up in a chair?
No.
Was the defendant in the house at the time you guys did the tour?
Yes, she was.
Where, did she follow you? Did she go with you on the tour, or where was she at when you were touring?
You know, I don't specifically recall her following us around, but you know, I know when we were walking around the house, you know, we saw her several times, and I did talk to her inside the residence. But for the most part, when she was there, we did talk to her. But for the most part, Jason was providing the tour of the house.
Did you notice anything unusual at that time?
At the house?
Right.
No.
Did you next talk with Kelly Cochran on November 4th, 2014?
November 4th? Yes.
Was anyone with you at that time?
Yes, Detective Sergeant Bracken.
Was Jason Cochran with her on that date?
You know, not during the interview, no. I don't recall if he was at the house. We interviewed her in the car again outside of their residence, but I don't recall if he was around or not. But he was not in the car, though, if that's what you're asking.
Right. Was she the only one that you interviewed on that day?
Yes.
On the one before?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, we'd offer joint exhibit number 9, which is the interview of Kelly Cochran on November 4, 2014.
That's received.
So this interview also occurred out in the car. Approximately what time of day was it?
I don't recall the specific time.
What was the reason for going this time to speak with Kelly Cochran?
Okay, so the purpose of this, another interview with her, was to determine if her days or her recollection of events for the 14th and 15th were accurate. Could it have been at a later part of the week that this occurred, you know, the dinner and stuff like that. Because we had received information from one of the other detectives that were doing some follow-up, some interviews that he did, that some other people may have seen Chris alive on Wednesday and Thursday, which would be the 15th and 16th. So the purpose of this interview was to go talk to her and find out if her recollection of events for the 14th and 15th were accurate.
Was there some confusion regarding whether Chris Regan actually was alive on the 15th and 16th because of those interviews?
There was, yes.
So, how did you start this interview with her?
Well, basically what I asked her is, you know, about everything that we had talked before. You know, was it accurate? Is she sure that she had dinner on the 14th? That she went by on the 15th? And walked up there, and then she did a drive-by in the parking lot on the 16th. And noticed his car was gone on the 16th, but his cars were there on the 15th, which she went up there and checked. And I asked her, is it possible it was it was really the 16th, or maybe dinner was on the 15th and went there on the 16th and 17th. But the end result of the interview for that time frame is that she said that she did have dinner with him on the 14th, went and checked his apartment on the 15th, and drove through the parking lot and noticed his car was gone on the 16th.
Were you able to determine if Chris Regan had been to his drug test on Wednesday the 15th?
I didn't personally determine if he had showed up, but through our meetings, the information provided to us at our briefings was he did not show up for his drug test.
And what about work on Thursday the 16th?
He did not show up.
Was there any discussion with the defendant regarding Chris Regan's chew habit, snuff habit?
Yes, he chewed. He always had a spittoon with him. He always also had a bottle of water to rinse out his mouth after he started chewing.
Did you execute a search warrant on Chris Regan's apartment on November 4th, 2014?
Yes, we did.
Did anyone assist you with that?
Yes, Detective Sergeant Brackett.
What were you looking for on that date?
We were looking for a cell phone of Mr. Regan's.
I'm sorry, a cell phone and what?
Of Mr. Regan's.
Okay, and did you find a cell phone on that date?
Yes, we were looking for a cell phone and any other information that would be useful for the investigation, but the cell phone we did find, yes.
And did you seize any other items besides the cell phone?
Some keys, I believe one of the keys for his car. Maybe a couple sets of keys.
During this time frame, the October 28th, the 31st, the 4th, did officers have any idea what happened to Chris Regan?
No.
This was a missing persons investigation at this point in time, right?
Right. We had several different theories at the time, and basically we were working to try to find out, what really probably happened, but we were still looking at all the different avenues.
And we've talked a lot today about interviews with the defendant and Jason Cochran. Were other people interviewed as well?
Yes.
Just for example, can you give us some names of some other people that were interviewed regarding this matter?
Randy Rick, Dale Vassar, Georgiana Bender. Those were some names that right at the top of my head that were interviewed.
The last interview you conducted with her, was that on December 18th, 2014?
Yes.
And where did that interview occur?
That also occurred in Detective Sergeant Brackett's vehicle in front of her house.
Your Honor, at this time I'd offer joint exhibits 10A, which is the original interview, and 10B, which is the redacted interview, the original being, of course, for the court's file.
The original being what date?
These are all from 12/18.
12/18.
The interview of Kelly Cochran conducted by MSP on that date.
And no objection received.
And as I said, 10A is the original, 10B is the redacted. So why did you interview Kelly Cochran on December 18th, 2014?
Because we found some discrepancies in what she had told us. Compare that with text messages and phone calls, and also some video review from a couple of local businesses. And so there's some discrepancies in her story that we wanted to ask her about.
Did you question her regarding her activities on 10/14 concerning Holiday Gas Station?
Yes.
Okay. And what about Holiday Gas Station caused you to question her?
Okay, so on the 14th, she told us that she went to Regan's apartment about 4:30, and she left about 8. She brought lasagna and garlic bread. She cooked up the garlic bread in the frying pan. And she would have left, about, like I said, about 8 o'clock. Well, on the holiday video, it shows a vehicle substantially similar to hers driving past at the holiday station eastbound on US 2 about 4:11 or 4:12 in the afternoon, and the vehicle goes past McDonald's heading towards Angeles. And then sometime around 4:52 or somewhere right around that time frame, similar vehicle, substantially similar to hers. I mean, we looked at it and we believed, based on looking at it, it looked like her vehicle and driving in the same direction. And doing the same pattern, going past McDonald's and around the corner, going towards Angeles. So that was one of the things that we wanted to ask her about. If she was at Regan's apartment about 4:30, then why is she driving past the holiday station at those two different times?
Ms. Starr, do you have video clips of that? Before you put those up, let me just introduce this. Your Honor, we're offering at this time Joint Exhibit 11A, which is the complete surveillance video from 10:14 at the Holiday gas station. We're also offering Joint Exhibits 11B, which are the video clips.
A and B are received.
Detective Ryan, can you indicate for the jury what color her vehicle was and what style?
It's a white Ford extended cab. I believe it was missing a hubcap on the passenger side.
Was that the 411 video we were watching at that time? Yeah. Detective Ryan?
This one here.
This one here is the 452 video, is that correct?
Yeah, it's based on the time on the bottom, but also there was another view straight out showing the vehicle driving in front. Where this one right here shows the vehicle, you see basically the back end of the vehicle. The video I watched shows the vehicle traveling from left to right in front of you.
Okay. So when you asked her about this discrepancy between the times, she's traveling past Holiday gas station at 4:52, she's supposed to be at Chris Regan's apartment at 4:30 for dinner, what did she say?
She said, well, she had no real explanation. She said, well, maybe she was just going to Angeles. Maybe she didn't go to Regan's when she thought she did. She didn't really have any solid explanation for it, and we didn't push it at this point. Reason being is she was cooperating with Detective Sergeant Brackett because we had maintained a pretty solid rapport with her. So wanting to maintain that rapport and also to keep the lines of communication open with her, we didn't really push it. We just wanted to keep asking her about things.
Had you also reviewed video from Merritt Bank?
Yes.
And was that from the ATM machine?
It's from the ATM.
Okay, where is Merritt Bank located, if you can tell the jury, please?
It is on the north side of Jubilee Foods.
In Iron River?
Yes, Iron River.
So what was the reason for viewing or reviewing that video?
We wanted to see if, looking at those dates, to find out if Chris had left, come or went on any of the, we requested a time frame, for I think going back to the 14th through the 18th or 17th or something like that. We requested several days worth of video. And while reviewing the videos, I came across a video on I think it was for the 16th. I think I don't want to get too far ahead. Okay. No, did I answer your question?
Yes, you did.
Sorry.
So you were looking to see if there was any video of anyone going past First Merritt Bank?
Yes.
And if you're going past the ATM machine at First Merritt Bank, going west, where would you end up?
If you're going west, you would wind up in the back side of the apartment building where Regan would park his vehicles, or the back entrance, probably for like the managers or employees of Jubilee.
Okay, and if you were going east from the ATM machine, where would you be going?
If you're going east from the ATM, then you would through the north side of the parking lot of Jubilee Foods.
Your Honor, at this time, I would offer the complete video of Merit Bank from 10/16/2014, and that's Exhibit 12A. And then Exhibit 12B, Your Honor, we have a video from that date.
Is 12A and B a joint exhibit?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
Received.
Could you stop that right there, please? Is that the clip right there? What did you see in that clip, Detective?
We saw a person very similar in appearance that we believe to be Kelly Cochran walking past.
Okay, and that was just a clip. Did you see anything else related to Kelly Cochran in that video?
Yes, in that clip shows a tattoo. So during one of the times that we interviewed Kelly, we asked her about tattoos, and she said, yeah, she has several tattoos on both arms. And
Okay. Approximately what time was that, do you know?
that was at around 1:54 in some odd seconds in the afternoon on the 16th of October.
Prior to this discussion with her on 12/18, what had she said about whether or not she was going to Chris Regan's apartment on 12/16?
Okay, say it one more time, please.
Prior to this interview, I'm sorry, I said 12/16, on 12/18,
Okay.
what had she told you about going to Chris Regan's apartment, if anything, on 10/16, which would have been Thursday?
She said she just drove through the parking lot. She said she didn't go into the apartment. She said she went into the apartment on the 15th.
Did you ask her about this video?
Yes.
What did she say about it?
She was non-committal if that was her or not. And she maintained her story that she did not go to the apartment on the 16th. She only drove through the parking lot on the 16th, and that she went into the apartment on the 15th.
When you watched the video, did you observe anything in the defendant's hands or in the person's hands who looks like defendant?
In her hands?
Correct.
No, I didn't
You did
observe
not?
her holding anything.
Okay. Was there another discrepancy that you needed to discuss with her that day?
But the other thing about that video we talked about was a vehicle, just like the one in Holiday, travels past the camera, and that was at about the 154 mark. And then there was due to the time lapse in the video, you don't see anything going the other way. But prior to her, if this woman walking from left to right, about 4 minutes or just over 4 minutes, there's a vehicle substantially matching her description that travels from left to right. So that was also part of it that we asked her about, where she said she only drove through and she actually didn't walk in there, and then she maintained her story.
So let me see if I have this correct. It's confusing me a little. If you're confusing me, the jury might be confused as well. This clip only shows somebody who appears to be Kelly Cochran walking from left to right, correct? In what direction would that be? In that clip, was she walking east?
She was walking east,
Okay.
correct.
So are you telling the jury that there is a clip earlier in this video that shows a vehicle substantially matching the Cochran's vehicle?
I believe there's a clip on it that shows a vehicle also traveling through that parking lot.
Okay, and which direction was it traveling, east or west?
East.
And do you see another clip later on showing the vehicle traveling west?
No.
Okay. So, moving past that, did you discuss with her a discrepancy about when she was at the apartment?
Yes, we asked her about, so she told us that she brought garlic, or lasagna and garlic bread. And we asked her why there was no remnants in the garbage, you know, to indicate that anything was eaten, any garlic bread or lasagna, everything else, because there was nothing in the trash canister in the kitchen. And she just told us that she cleaned up everything and washed the dishes, and she brought it with either, you know, covered with saran wrap or tin foil, aluminum foil.
So she indicated it was already made when she brought it over herself?
Correct, yes.
She did not cook it at that location?
Yes.
By the time that you interviewed her on December 18th, had you received some phone records back or some extraction reports from phones back?
Yes.
Was there something about the phone records that caused you to contact her about the phone records?
So also during that time when she said she was in the apartment having dinner with them between roughly 4:30 to 8 p.m., a phone call was placed from Jason's phone to Chris Regan's phone. It was right around 6:30, and so we asked, well, why the phone call? Jason never called him, and you would have called him using Jason's phone because your phone wasn't working properly. Because then why would you have a need to call him at 6:30 when you would be at the apartment having dinner with him anyway?
And what was her response?
Didn't offer it. There was no explanation.
I'm sorry, you're facing away from me, but your voice trails off from time to time. Could you keep it up? Thank you.
There was no explanation, is that what you said?
Correct.
Toward the end of that interview, did you discuss her relationship with her husband? Whether or not she was afraid of him?
Yeah, the comment about being afraid of him, she made a comment that she's never been afraid of him a day in her life, or something to that effect.
What, if anything, was discussed regarding her activities prior to October 14th, the weekend prior to October 14th?
Can you say that one more time, please?
What, if anything, was discussed regarding her activities prior to October 14th, the weekend prior?
I don't know.
Was there any discussion regarding whether she had taken a trip or gone anywhere that weekend?
No, I know the investigator said that they had received information that they took a trip to Indiana. And her husband, last time he was down there was in August. But that's about it.
Did you perform or assist with interviews of other persons during this time?
Yes.
And who else did you interview?
Laura Sartori from Lake Shore, Randy Rick, Georgina Venter, Dale Vassar,
11/4/2014, which was the same date as one of the interviews with Kelly Cochran, did you and Detective Brackett go to the parking lot in Gates Township?
yes.
And why did you go there?
We went there just to survey around the area, just to see if there was anything, because at this point, we're still not sure, you know, what are the circumstances surrounding his disappearance. So we went to the park and ride just to canvass through the woods, just to see if there's anything around there.
When you went to the apartment of Chris Regan and executed the search warrant, also on November 4th, 2016, that day you had seized some keys and a phone. Were there other things that you noted of interest while you were in his apartment?
There was he had a half a can of Copenhagen long cut on the counter. And then there was four unopened cans in a, you know, 5-roll Copenhagen long cut. There was a military type ID, presumably for maybe a daughter, on the counter. There was he had several to-do lists, all the same to-do lists scattered around the apartment. There was a signed, the original signed acceptance letter for employment down in North Carolina.
On November 6th, did you meet with someone at the Marquette Crime Lab?
November 6th, yes.
And who did you meet with on that day?
Detective Sergeant Wes Smith.
And what was the purpose of that meeting?
I obtained some extraction, cell phone, computer extraction results, examination results that he did, as well as looking at the navigational system in Mr. Regan's car.
And what did you do with those items when you received them?
I brought them back to Iron River PD and turned them over to Chief Rizzo, with the exception of Jason's phone, which was turned over on the 13th.
Did Detective Sergeant Smith retain the Red Dell laptop?
He did, yes.
Okay, and do you know why he retained the Red Dell laptop?
He was going to do additional searches for, you know, keyword searches on it, try to come up with some more information.
Did you give him a list of possible words to search?
I did, yes.
And what words did you, by way of example, what words did you ask him to search?
I asked them, some of the words were kill, vanish, suicide, I've got the list in my report about which one, but there was, you know, if I remember it, there was about 10 or 12, maybe more different keywords, you know, searches, you know, disappear, you know, to cover the gamut between, you know, harming himself, somebody else harming him.
Did you review any other video surveillance with respect to this matter?
I did, yes.
And what else?
I looked at the Mapleton, I think it's the Mapleton Bar, corner of Bates, at Bates and Saugus 2 Junction. I looked at a lot of their video. I didn't find anything significant on there.
Thank you.
Mr. Shoki?
Afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing all right, thank you. Just wanted to ask you a couple questions. Going back to the October 31st interview with Kelly Cochran.
Okay.
She talked to you willingly?
Pardon me?
Was she willing when she spoke with you? Did she?
Yes.
Was she hesitant at all? Anything that you perceived that she didn't want to talk to you?
No.
Same question in regard to Jason Cochran. When you talked to him on October 31st, 2014, again, did you sense any hesitance in him at all?
No.
And we talked to him, we talked about a lot of things, and one of those things was about his relationship with Kelly and how things were going. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And yeah, how do you characterize that?
He characterized his relationship with his wife as he knew she was having relationships with other men. Ever since he was hospitalized, he came home, things were going much better for him. and he was hoping that, she would eventually come back, just to him.
Okay. But he knew about her other relationships, correct?
Correct.
And did he seem happy about her having other relationships?
No, he didn't seem happy at all.
Did he seem angry about it?
No, he didn't seem angry about it.
Did he say that he was cool with it? He was okay with it?
No, he said it did upset him, but he also told us that he's also had other opportunities to have a relationship with other women.
Would it be fair to say that he was very resigned to the fact that she was having these other relationships and was just going with the flow?
Yes.
Okay. Did he also tell you about a time where he had seen a truck that looked like his at near apartment building downtown Iron River? Did he talk about that to your recollection?
Yes, he did.
Okay, and what did he tell you about that, if you want to tell us a quick synopsis?
He said he was out for a walk. He walked into Iron River, and when he got to the 181 US 2 junction, he saw his vehicle parked on the corner on the north side of the US 2, and said he just walked around the apartment. And he figured it was Regan's apartment building because he saw his previous truck there with the kayaks, and he said he recalled that Kelly had told him in the past that she and Regan had went kayaking. So he did a loop around the apartment building, went to a store, bought a pop, and he said he walked home with his head hung down.
You anticipate my next question. I was going to ask how he reacted to finding that truck there. He said he had his head hung down. Did I hear that right?
Yes.
And he talked about wanting to do anything to himself, harm himself, to your recollection?
If I recall right, he said he thought about jumping off of a bridge on his way back.
Very good. Also want to talk about a time that he had mentioned to you about he was burning some boxes in the backyard. Can you tell us your recollections what he told you about that?
I believe that's when he first moved to the Caspian area. He was burning some boxes in the backyard as part of the moving process, and his neighbors came over and basically, got him to holler at him, had some words towards him about burning the boxes, and so that was the last time I talked to them.
And you said that was when he first moved to the Caspian area, is that correct?
Yes.
Did he specify when that was to your recollection?
He told us that Groundhog Day rung a bell with him.
So, about this time of year, give or take, a couple weeks ago?
About that time. I don't know when Groundhog Day is.
February 2nd, good enough. Now, when you asked if you could go in the house and look around and get the phone, was he willing and say, come on in right away, or was he hesitant about it?
No, he was hesitant about it. He was hesitant. I think the biggest thing is because he was worried about his marijuana grow operation in the basement. But he had a medical marijuana card, and he had the legal amount of plants, and everything was legal about it. But I think that's what his hesitancy was about at first.
And you told me to care, I think at some point you might have said, I don't care if you have 1 million plants or some large number, correct?
Yep, I told him that our focus was finding Chris Regan and what happened to him. We didn't care about anything else that was going on in this house, that Regan was our focus.
And after you told him that, did he automatically say, okay, come on in, or did you still get hesitant?
No, I think after we said we don't care what's inside, that's our focus. We just want to make sure he's not tied up. We just want to make sure we do the best job for Regan, and we're doing it for him. And he says, all right. So we walked inside.
Okay. Now, when you went home, were there some animals in that house running around?
Yes.
And what were those animals?
I believe there were 2 dogs.
Okay. And were you concerned about the dogs at all? Were they friendly dogs?
One was a little more not as friendly. I think the other one was friendly, but he secured them, so we could look in the house.
Yeah, did Kelly help secure them to your recollection at all? Or?
And I believe that's probably why she wasn't following us around the house.
Because she was taking care of dogs.
Correct.
Thank you. Let's go to the November 4th interview of 2014 again. I think you spoke with Ms. Cochran that day, if I remember correctly. Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
Again, was she willing and accommodating to talk to you at that time?
Yes.
And that was done in front of her house in a squad car?
It was in front of her house in a department vehicle. Our vehicles are unmarked cars.
Okay. Trying to use the word squad car. Thank you for correcting me. And again, for the same for the December 18th interview, can you tell us the circumstances? Was Ms. Cochran, again, willing to participate in that, or did she give you any hesitation?
No, she freely talked to us.
And that would have been in a department vehicle, correct?
Yes.
I don't know if we touched on whatever I missed it, I apologize. But again, do you know where Jason Cochran was during that interview?
No, I don't. Not off the top of my head.
No, we took a look at Joint Exhibit 11B, looked at it, and while you were describing it, you used some words like vehicle substantially similar and looks like. Those are the terms you used?
Yep.
Again, do you have any, you're 100% sure that that was Mr. and Mrs. Cochran's vehicle going back and forth there?
No, I'm not 100% sure. I know what their vehicle looks like. It had the one characteristic that their vehicle had was a missing hubcap, and I don't recall if it was on the front passenger side or the rear passenger, but I believe there was a hubcap missing. And so when I went by, I mean, it's the same make, model, looked like the same year, same color, missing that same spot on the wheel, going by. So am I 100% sure? No. I mean, did it substantially look like their vehicle? Yes, and that's actually what my report reflected.
Okay, and again, what we saw there, and correct me if I'm misdescribing it here, but it's basically a white vehicle heading towards the McDonald's in Iron River from the Holiday gas station. I think there's a little hill there you can go down in front of the American Inn. Would that be a fair description of what you saw in that video? What the video we saw here today was?
Yes, yes, and that video that we saw.
Yes, sir. Okay. And both videos, both of the clips, I should verify that, both the 411 and the 452 clip show basically the same thing.
Yes.
Okay. And again, we couldn't see a driver in that vehicle, could we?
No.
I mean, no idea who was driving that vehicle.
Correct.
And again, you've been law enforcement for a while. I presume you were on the road at one point on patrol. Mm-hmm. And then one event during your time on patrol, you saw a lot of white pickup trucks. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Now, I want to talk about this Merritt Bank video as well. And you said someone that looks, again, similar to Ms. Cochran was seen in that video. Again, you used the word similar.
Yes.
You didn't say definitively, did you?
I didn't.
And you also said someone you could see a tattoo on this person's arm, correct?
Correct.
Did you make out what the tattoo was? Was it a heart? Did it say mother? Did you make out what the tattoo was in the person's arm?
I couldn't pick out specifically what the tattoo is. But a person matching, her stature, her body build, color hair, tattoo on the right side, walking by. I mean, to me, it looked like her.
Okay, fair enough.
But I can't say for sure.
Thank you. And again, you said you saw a vehicle, I think they said it was substantially similar again, or some similar term. Is that fair to say as well?
That's fair to say, yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. I believe you have any other questions.
Thank you. Any redirect under the scope of the cross?
Yes, Your Honor. Detective, Mr. Scholke was asking you about Jason Cochran walking to the apartment building and seeing his truck parked there and a vehicle that he believed to be Chris Regan's vehicle at that apartment building, right?
Yes.
And I think your testimony was that he walked away and he said his head was hung down. Is that correct?
Correct.
So what you're telling this jury is he did not run into that apartment building and confront the defendant or Chris Regan.
Correct.
He was not upset or angry. He was distressed and depressed.
Yes.
With respect to the, I'm directing you now to, I believe it was also on 10/31/2014, that interview when you had gone into the house. Mr. Scholke was asking you about him being hesitant to allow you to go into the house. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay. Would it be fair to say that if someone had committed a crime, they might be hesitant to allow you into their home as well?
yes.
Now, with respect to unmarked cars, what types of unmarked cars are you guys driving nowadays? Are we talking Crown Victorias unmarked, or are we talking something else?
Okay, in this instance, Detective Brackett had a Ford 500, and he switched to a Dodge Caravan, and like the vehicle I have is a Chevy Equinox. So they're not patrol vehicles. They're not on the Dodge Charger or the Ford Explorer or the Chevy Tahoe. They're any other car that fit in, blends in, that most people wouldn't suspect that they were a detective's car.
Now, going to the Holiday gas station video, did you actually review the video from the Holiday gas station, or did you review the video from the City of Iron Rivers cameras, or both?
I looked at the Holiday gas station videos.
But there is another view of it other than what we saw today.
Of that vehicle?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So that actually is on the prosecutor's office for not pulling the right video.
Could be me.
Okay. You had indicated that you've seen a lot of white pickup trucks going past while on patrol, same, or similar models to what the Cochrans own. The view that you saw, was it a better view of the white pickup truck?
It was a better view, yes.
Were you able to identify any marks or characteristics on the vehicle that you saw going by that made you believe that it was the Cochran vehicle?
Yes.
Okay, what was that?
That was that missing hubcap.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. You may step down.
My questions of Mr. Smith. We do have some joint exhibits that just in mass I'd want to offer those at this time, so I don't have to do it in the middle of questioning.
What are they?
We have joint exhibit number 16, which is the Dell IEF report, extraction report. And Mr. Schulke and I, by way of stipulation, have agreed that we do not need to produce the hardware that generated these reports. We're talking about the laptops and the phones and things like that. We're just going to go ahead and introduce the reports themselves.
All right.
So that's item 16. Item 17, also a joint exhibit, is the Acer tablet email accounts extraction, the Acer tablet extraction.
Okay.
Item 18 is the extraction reports that contain the Hotmail screenshots, also from the Acer tablet. Item 19 is the Apple iCloud backup extraction report. And item 20 is the Apple iPhone 4 extraction report.
And those are all joint exhibits.
Yes, Your Honor.
They are received.
Please state your name.
Certainly. Detective Sergeant Wesley Smith.
And what is your occupation?
I'm a detective with the Michigan State Police.
And where are you currently assigned?
Currently, my office is in Traverse City.
Did you have any law enforcement experience prior to working with Michigan State Police?
No, ma'am.
Any military experience?
No, ma'am.
And how long have you been with the Michigan State Police?
Almost 19 years.
And were you assigned at the Traverse City Post initially, or did you work somewhere else first?
Nope. After completion of the academy, I spent about 12 years in Manistee County doing general road patrol, things like that.
And when you were assigned to the Traverse City Post, were you assigned different duties?
Correct. In 2012, I was selected to run the computer crime unit out of Traverse City for our department.
Are you a CFCE?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
What does CFCE stand for?
CFCE is a Certified Forensic Computer Examiner. And that training and certification is given by the International Association of Computer Investigative Specialists. Long story short, it's just a 6-month process of formal training, formal peer review to become certified as an expert in the computer forensics world, analyzing computers, mobile phones, data extraction, things like that.
And when did you become certified?
That was 2016.
2016?
This is last year.
Have you had other training in the area of computer forensics other than that 6-month training?
Yes, ma'am. I've had a total since 2012, roughly, I believe my CV is just over 750 hours of specialized training in cell phone extractions, investigating high-tech crimes, child exploitation crime investigations, a bunch of different computer-type classes and things in continuing education.
Specifically with respect to child exploitation type crimes, do you sit on any sort of task force?
Yes. The Michigan State Police is the regional director for the Internet Crime Against Children Task Force. And if you know John Walsh, the John Walsh Act, with his little boy missing, he started, that task force basically. It's a federally funded task force to where, that's the main thing we do is investigate child exploitation, human trafficking, things like that.
Is it just Michigan State Police personnel who sit on that task force?
No, ma'am. We have, in my office alone, we have, I think, 6 different departments, from Department of Corrections to local PDs to city officers to troopers to civilians to contract employees.
Do you also have federal employees on there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And who from the feds is on there? Like what branches are represented?
In my office, specifically, we have one person from the Homeland Security Investigations, ICE. He's on the task force. Other officers have FBI agents, Border Patrol, just kind of the whole gamut is involved in that task force.
So, being head of can you say it again? I'm trying to blank, it's getting late.
I get the office.
No, your duties in Traverse City. Is it the computer crimes unit?
Yep, computer crime unit, sorry.
Yes, sorry.
I'm battling cold myself, so.
My bad. What are your duties with respect to being head of that department?
With that, I do analysis of computers and phones, liaison with the departments. I'm responsible for case review, property, which comes and goes. Ultimately, it's just like kind of the buck stops here. I'm the supervisor of the office, and so that's kind of on top of my just analysis and examination. Excuse me. I also have the administrative duties on top of that.
Approximately how many devices a year do you examine?
Personally, I would say for myself, probably in the 150 to 200 device range, and that's including cell phones, that's including digital cameras, computers, kind of a little bit of everything.
And how many does the unit examine approximately a year?
Oh boy, I wouldn't. Over several thousand, because we're one of the smaller offices. Just as an example, in 2016, my office, which has 9 total people, assigned to it, we investigated over 500 complaints involving digital media, in some way.
And I think you just answered my next question, approximately how many cases you may have per year.
Probably 500 to 600.
Did you examine some items? Well, before I go there, do you belong to any associations?
IASIS is an association I belong to. Other ones, not really, no.
Okay. Have you been qualified as an expert witness in the area of computer forensics before?
Yes, ma'am.
And how many times?
I believe 4 times. I had to look at my CV, but I believe it's 4 times.
All in the state of Michigan?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recall what counties?
Grand Traverse, Leelanau, and I was also down in a federal case in Bay City, so the district, whatever district court, the Western District, I believe, or federal court.
The Eastern District?
Eastern District, I'm sorry, yes.
All right, Your Honor, at this time I would offer him as an expert witness in the area of computer forensics.
The witness can give his opinion testimony.
Did you examine some items related to the Chris Regan investigation?
Yes, ma'am.
And what day did that occur? The first time?
The first time, it was, I believe, November 5th and 6th of 2014.
And where did you examine those items at?
Initially, it was at the Marquette Crime Lab, the State Police Crime Lab in Marquette.
And at the time you receive an item to examine, what type of information do you know about its ownership or how it relates to the case?
It really kind of depends. I mean, as silly as it somewhat may sound, a lot of the cases I don't really want to know a lot about. It's kind of a, I look at our duty as fact finders. And so if, like in this case specifically, I knew there was a missing person. Much more than that, I really was not aware of initially at that time. So it really kind of depends. If it's a high-profile case that I know is coming in, I'm aware of it. But generally, we don't have a whole lot of information besides what the officer presents when they come in and say, hey, here's a cell phone. I'm looking for text messages. I'm looking for photos. I'm looking for anything within the state range.
In this particular case, did you receive any information when you received the items to examine?
Very little. I knew it was a missing person case, and at that time when I was called up, I was in Traverse City when I was called up to Marquette, and still we weren't sure, at least in my mind, whether it was a missing person or what the actual situation was.
Meaning it could have been just somebody who wanted to vanish or a suicide case?
Correct.
Do you typically travel to the Marquette laboratory to do an exam of items?
Not anymore. In 2015, the state police opened a separate computer crime unit lab in Marquette, or office in Marquette. Until that time, from 2012 to 2015, I covered basically from Cadillac north, including Upper Peninsula. So during that time, it was rather common for me to, especially when there's cases that maybe were of time-sensitive nature, that yes, I would travel, but occasionally.
I want to direct you now to the items that you analyzed in this case, or examined in this case. Could you please tell the jury what item number 1 was that you received?
I'm going to have to refer to my report at some point. I can't remember. That should have been a laptop computer, if I can just refer real quick.
Would that refresh your memory?
Yes. Yeah, that was a Dell laptop was item number 1.
And when you receive a computer such as this laptop for examination, what is the first thing you usually do?
The first thing we normally do is enter it into our property system, describe it, make model, serial number, things like that, just so we know what it is. And so we can refer to, if we end up with 4 or 5 different cell phones or 4 or 5 different computers, we want to be able to say, okay, hey, this is number 1 because it has this serial number or this crack on the screen or this specific mark or something.
And did you do that in this case?
Yes.
And what was the type of laptop?
It was a Dell laptop. The model was a PP36X.
And did this particular laptop contain a hard drive?
Yes.
And can you just briefly explain to the jury what a hard drive is, just in case they are not aware?
A hard drive is where a computer stores its data. If you save a document, report, or family pictures of Disneyland, when you save them to a computer, for lack of different technology, but you're saving it to the memory, which is the hard drive, basically.
And are there various sizes of hard drives depending on the computer?
Certainly, there are, especially now when you have the smaller netbook type computers where everything is stored in the cloud. We can discuss that later. When it's stored in the cloud, there's not much memory, not much. The hard drive is not very big, versus gaming machines or servers where you can have terabytes upon terabytes of data, which a terabyte is just a lot.
And can hard drives be external or internal?
Yes.
And the external hard drive, is that typically more portable?
Yes.
Does each hard drive usually have its own make, model, and serial number as well?
Certainly, yes.
And is that something that you have to document in your report?
Yes.
So you receive the laptop, you document the make, model, the serial number. What do you do next in examining the computer?
Generally, with a computer, we're going to remove that hard drive and attach it to a, just call it a bridge. It's connected to a different computer, and that bridge enables you to write, enables you to read from that hard drive, but not write to it. It's called a forensic bridge. And again, just to clarify, if you take a hard drive out of a computer, you have to hook it to another computer in some way to get the image or data off of it. And what that forensic bridge does, again, only enables one-way communication. So we can read from that suspect hard drive, but we're not writing to it.
And if you were to connect it to some other type of just regular computer, you could read or write back and forth?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
So in this case, you connected it to the bridge, which only allowed you to read it. What did you do next?
Then, once that's connected to a bridge, we use one of our forensics tools, which in this case is FTK, Forensics Toolkit, not a very imaginative name, Imager. And what imaging is, it is making basically a bit for bit, all computer language is zeros and ones. It is copying every single 0 and 1 from that suspect hard drive to a sterile piece of media that we're going to analyze. And what that does, it enables us to analyze the copy, the true copy, and not touch the original media, if that makes sense.
So you're not changing the original hard drive in any manner, you're just creating an exact replica of it?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
So when you do your analysis, you don't analyze the original hard drive, you analyze the replica?
With this specific type of case, yes. There are times when we would not use a write blocker, with the bridges, write blocker, or there are times we would not take the hard drive out of the computer and we look at other ways without removing it, or if we do remove it, we might not image it, which is make a copy of it, we would just look at it live. But that's generally not what we do. Generally, we make copies of it.
Is there some way to verify or confirm that you've made an exact copy of the hard drive?
Yes. From the original media, the suspect drive, and then after we use the forensic bridge to copy it, it then uses that same algorithm and creates a hash of the media that we created. And if those two things match, it's verified. That indicates to me beyond it's a huge number that suspect drive has the same data as the image that I'm going to analyze.
So you create an exact image of the hard drive. What do you do with it next?
At that point, when I'm in the lab setting, that goes on our secured server, and then that's what we use as our working copy. That's what we'll run, the tools against, the forensic software against.
Okay, when you say tools or forensic software, what are some examples of the forensic software you might use, and why would you use it in a particular situation?
Okay. The big ones that we use are X-Ways Forensics, FTK. FTK has a forensics tool besides just an imager, and then also the other one is Ncase. Those are three of the more well-known software platforms that we use for forensics, and it's really kind of which one you choose. It just kind of depends on your mood for the day. It's like if you have 3 or 4 cars, and you're going to take the convertible, or you're going to take the truck, or you're going to take the van today. It just kind of depends, what you want to do, what you want to use.
Do they each obtain different information from the hard drive, or no?
No, they'll all give you the same information. Everything you might get a little bit more, or a little bit less, because each software has its own proprietary way it does things, and so you might get a little bit more data from one tool or a little bit less data from another tool. That's why, because of that, That's why we always usually try to run things on at least a couple of different tools. And if we're not finding what we're looking for, that's an indication, well, hey, let's run it against another tool, to verify and validate that the tool is working properly.
So, with respect to this laptop that you received in the Chris Regan case, what did you do with it other than the FTK?
For the report. Besides FTK, another tool, a tool that we use quite a bit is called Internet Evidence Finder. And it's really pretty much a show the program the image that you're looking for, or that you're looking through, the copy you made, and it'll pull out all kinds of data, whether it be documents, chat history, emails, pictures, videos. IEF we refer to as a forensic examiner in a box. It just kind of goes through and, again, for lack of a better phrase, sucks out all the user data and puts that in a displayable format so you can look at it and read it.
So in this case, when you use the Internet Evidence Finder on the laptop, did you know anything that may be significant to the case?
I made a couple of bookmarks that discussed jobs, moving information, housing information, and there were several pornography, artifacts on that drive as well.
And when you talk about artifacts, what's an artifact?
It'd be like a hit, like a Google search, or if you're gonna look, Yahoo.com, it would say, okay, Yahoo.com is accessed, so that'd be an artifact. It's just an indication that a site was used or reviewed, or what we would call pictures artifacts too. It's just the data that the tool extracts, we refer to as artifacts.
Okay, so you find these artifacts. Did you do anything to sort the artifacts?
Yes. The artifacts, I sorted them from the date starting May 7th of 2014 through 10/19 of 2014.
And were those dates given to you as important dates, or those dates you just selected?
The end date, the 10/19, actually, I guess I don't know. I know that, the incident occurred, I think the 14th of October-ish. And so why I chose the 19th, I do not recall off the top of my head, but I think I just went back through a few months and said, hey, let's see what we got, towards the end of obviously the most interesting stuff. Generally, with the case we were working on at that point, which we thought could be a missing person, was what he was doing, or that the operator, or who was behind the keyboard, was doing on that computer just before the time he went missing.
With respect to the Internet Evidence Finder, when you use that, do you create a report after you're done using it?
Yes.
And how do you create that report?
It's a menu, just like if you're typing a Word document. You can select what to report, what not to report, and we export that into a format, and then generally it's either put on an external hard drive, like we talked about, or a data disk, like what the prosecutor has, and provided to the officer in charge for further review. Because a lot of times there's so much data on these systems, and there's many pieces that we don't necessarily know exactly what we're looking for. We don't know something may be very important that does not look important to us. So we encourage the investigating agency to review the data as well.
And did you create a report in this manner and put it on either a hard drive or a data disk?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you turn that back over to an officer?
Yes.
And do you recall which officer you turned it to?
On that one, I don't recall exactly who I went to. I'm assuming it was sent back to, because that was done in Traverse City, I would assume that went back by mail to Iron River PD or UPS, shipped back.
So did you receive another item
Yes.
to examine? Okay, and what was that? Item number 2 in your report?
Yep. Number 2 was an external hard disk drive, external drive, memory drive, that contained what appeared to be a backup of item number 1. So the user, didn't want to lose data, which we all should do, which we never do, backed up their computer. So if something catastrophic happened, they would have their data, their pictures, and their whatnot. So item number 2 was a backup copy of the data on number 1.
And did you do anything else with respect to that item?
No.
Okay, item number 3, did you receive another item?
Yes.
And what was that item?
That was an Acer tablet computer.
And did you use a different tool, or do you use a different tool with a tablet as opposed to a laptop?
Yes. With this case and with this particular, without splitting hairs between tablet, computer, and laptop, this tablet was running the Android operating system. So anybody that has a cell phone, generally, unless it's a flip phone, you're going to have either iOS, Apple, or Android. This little tablet computer, think of it as an Android iPad, and what that did, that was running the Android operating system. The tool we use for that, generally, to extract data, there's several tools we can use. Our kind of number one tool is Celebrite, and it's a tool that, again, extracts data just like IEF and FTK made from a computer. It extracts data from mobile devices.
And what does Celebrate usually capture, I guess, or what type of data does it usually capture?
It kind of varies from device to device to operating system to operating system. A lot of variables, like my mantra on cell phones and mobile devices, it depends. Generally, you're talking contacts, your phone book. You're talking your call logs, who you call back and forth, who you missed calls from, the duration of those calls. Text messages, we'll kind of capture those. Pictures, videos, and more advanced circumstances that will capture Facebook Messenger, things like that. It'll capture internet artifacts. Again, the websites you may have visited and things like that. But the big ones are your call log, your contacts, your SMS are the big ones.
So these programs that you use, particularly with these mobile devices, such as the Android operating system, will it capture everything that's on that system? Like on that tablet?
We like to think so, but with mobile devices, it depends what you're going to get. I could run a phone today and then run it tomorrow. It might capture different. So it might capture a little bit more, it might capture a little bit less. And again, just depending on the tool. What it doesn't do, it does not make any changes to the user area. So whatever I get or I don't get, it's not going to add calls, it's not going to add text messages, it's not going to touch that part of the data.
In some cases, when you don't receive the expected information that you're looking for, do you run it against another type of software to see if you can get that information?
Yes.
And I've actually asked you to do that in a couple cases, haven't
Yes,
I? With respect to, what happens if something's deleted off a mobile device or a tablet like this?
It depends. Sometimes we can get the data back, sometimes we can get all of it back, whether it be pictures or text messages. You might get part of the picture back. You might get the text message, the part that was, hey, what do you want to do for dinner tonight? But it's not going to recover who it was sent to, or maybe the time of the date. Or you might get the time of the date, but no body of the text message. So it just kind of a coin flip as far as what you're going to get back regarding deleted data.
So in this particular case, you used Celebrate, you extracted the information. What did you do next?
Create a report.
Did you have some particular information that you were interested in on this one, the
Yes.
Acer tablet?
Yep, I'm sorry. This one contained, in that report, again, because there's so much data and a lot of stuff, we're not exactly sure what is or is not important. We'll review the data as it's coming through. I'll look at it and go, okay, man, that could be important. This one, again, we're talking about somebody who is missing at this point in time. The Celebrite was able to pull out the passwords to a couple of Gmail accounts. And what I did is entered those, using those credentials, I went on live and into the email account and reviewed the data in the email account as if I was the user.
And you were able to view the data?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you include that as part of your report that you created from this tablet?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you able to determine when, first of all, how many email accounts did you look at?
I believe there was 2.
And were they both Hotmail accounts, or was one a different type of account?
I believe they were both Hotmail accounts.
And what was the name, I guess, associated with the first account?
The first one I looked at, or that was there, was coffeeclump@hotmail.com, and the second account was reganchris@hotmail.com.
Can I just have this marked as a whole? Is that all? Just one. We'll staple it.
If you number the pages, please.
Yes, sir.
Joint 21, correct?
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm showing you what's been marked as joint exhibit number 21. Do you recognize those items?
Yeah.
Consisting of 5 pages, I believe, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Now, you had indicated on the Coffee Clown account that there had been no activity, is that correct, since 2013?
I believe, yes.
Did you look at another account?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the username associated with that account?
Regan Chris, all one word.
And did you find anything in the Regan Chris account?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you find?
I found several emails regarding a drug test, and it appeared to be a job, basically accepting a job and preparing to start that new job.
And the exhibit there that you have, is that an exhibit or screenshots that you took or copies of?
Yes, ma'am. It does.
And it's actually not copies of all of the screenshots, is it? Are we missing one regarding bank account information?
Correct, yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I would move for admission of, actually, it's joint exhibit, right, 21?
Correct.
Okay, so.
21 proceed.
Your Honor, may I publish that to the jury?
What?
May I publish it to the jury?
Yes.
Now, Detective Sergeant Smith, were you able to determine when the last email was sent from the Reagan Chris account?
Yes, ma'am.
And when was that?
The timestamp was 10/14 of 2014 at 3:30 p.m.
And were you able to determine the last time anyone logged into the account?
Just not necessarily that, but I was able to actually, no emails were read past 10/14/2014, because it's like when you get a text message or email, it will be bold that you haven't viewed it yet. I suppose it's possible that somebody could have logged in and not looked at the email, but what would be the reason to do that? Because all the emails I looked at as far as the drug test and whatnot were marked unread.
Did you receive another item, item 4?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was that item?
That was another external hard disk drive.
And did you do anything with respect to this hard drive?
Yes, we used another type of forensic bridge write blocker, a USB write blocker. Looked at the drive, and there had been no activity since 2011, so we just kind of shelved that one and then moved on to the next piece of property.
And did you receive a 5th item?
Yes.
And what was that?
That was a Maxtor external hard drive.
And were you able to determine if there was anything of evidential value on that?
That did not appear to be, as the last modification date on the data was 2011 on that one as well.
And item 6, did you examine that item?
Yes.
And what was that?
That was a Dell mini laptop computer.
And did that have an internal hard drive?
Yes, ma'am, it did.
And did you examine the internal hard drive?
Yes.
What tool did you use to examine the hard drive on the Dell Inspiron?
Just like the original proper number 1, the Dell, remove the hard drive, image it with FTK Imager, verify that the copy is the same as the original, which with that that electronic fingerprint. And then we use Internet Evidence Finder on that as well.
And did you find anything of interest to you in this case?
Nothing really that was of interest to me that I thought was evidential value. But even so, we create a report with all the data from the drive and present that back to the originating agency for review.
So you guys don't necessarily do a thorough, in-depth review unless specifically requested of these reports that you generate?
Correct.
Typically, that's something that the agency would do, that actually sent the item to you?
And again, it's really kind of on a case-by-case basis. Most of the time, again, if there's a specific, if it's a phone or like a child pornography case on a computer, we'll do the full analysis. A lot of times, again, I wouldn't necessarily know. I don't know the case like the agency does, like the investigators do. So again, there could be a phone number or a name or a reference, like a landmark reference, which would mean absolutely nothing to me. That would mean something to them and be very important in their investigation. So we'll spot check things and then look through it. Okay, we got data here and there, got pictures, but as far as in-depth analysis, a lot of times we'll just refer it back to the originating agency.
The next item you indicated in your report that you reviewed was a Dell Optiplex monitor. What is a Dell Optiplex monitor?
That is an Optiplex. That is one of those all-in-one computers. If you think of a computer it's a monitor. All you see is the monitor. It's thicker, so it's got the hard drive. It's got the power supply. It's got everything right in the monitor. So the only thing external is your keyboard, your laptop, or your keyboard and your mouse.
And does a monitor like that, an Optiplex monitor, does it have an internal hard drive?
Yes.
And did you examine this one?
I believe on that one, yes, IEF was used on that drive on that one as well.
Okay, and this is item number 7. Did you note anything of evidential value on that?
Nothing of evidence that I found.
Item number 8. What was item number 8?
Item number 8 was actually a car, a Hyundai Genesis Coupe.
And what did you do with respect to that coupe?
When this case started in 2014, we were just in a cutting-edge technology learning about the infotainment systems in the cars. If anybody has newer cars now, they've got backup cameras, they've got GPS that the screen is as big as your book. With those type of accessories and that type of system in a car, there is data being stored, whether it be what music you're listening to, whether your phone is synced to it, GPS data, all that stuff. It's possible that it's stored in that vehicle infotainment system. And this car, it was a 2014, had fairly new state-of-the-art infotainment telematics system in it.
Were you able to examine the data that was stored within the car on the telematics unit?
Yes and no. When all else fails, we call it manual examination. If a phone won't hook up to our system, you can always flip through it, thumb through the phone. With this particular car, again, it was cutting-edge technology as far as the analysis and extraction of data from these systems. So there was not a whole lot out there in the commercial field or law enforcement field to extract that data. With this car, I contacted, there's the Burla Blackthorn, that's a company that is really, again, cutting edge as far as the data extraction. I contacted them and, I said, hey, this is what I've got. It's a missing person. This was actually a little bit later, down the road. And they were not able to provide a tool to extract that data. But they said, if you want to pull that system out of that car and send it to us, they can test and evaluate, they can try to figure out if they can get data from it.
So did you do a manual examination of
Yes.
the unit in that car?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what information, if any, were you able to obtain through a manual examination?
I was able to, we were in the garage, so there's no GPS signal to the car, which was nice. So when I powered on that car to fire up that system, it showed that vehicle at the last place that it was shut off, which would have been I believe it's a parking right out on US 2. In my notes the coordinates showed it was between US 2 near Willis Road, I think it was.
And did it indicate anything else or any other information you were able to gain from the manual examination?
There's only two previous destinations in the system. One was Green Bay, Wisconsin, so it's like if you type in, where do you want to go? I want to go find Pizza Hut tonight or whatever it happens to be. That's the destination. It had Green Bay, Wisconsin, and then it had an address of 135 West Adams Street in Iron River, Michigan.
And is there a home tab on a GPS system usually?
Yes, ma'am.
And did it have any information on the home tab?
Yes. That home tab showed an address of 5592 South Spyglass Ridge Drive in Suttons Bay, Michigan.
Do you know, and you may not be aware of this, do you know whether or not the GPS unit or the telematics unit was pulled from the vehicle and sent anywhere else?
I believe it was pulled. I don't know for a fact. I know it was pulled out, but I don't know what happened after that.
Did you recommend that to the officers when the items were returned?
Yes.
With respect to item number 9, did you examine something else?
Yes.
What was that?
Item number 9 was a Alcatel cellular phone.
And when you're examining a cellular phone, again, do you use different software depending on what type of operating system?
Yes.
And do you always catch the deleted items on a particular phone?
The deleted?
Right, are you able to extract all of the deleted items?
No, ma'am. Just depends.
Okay, and with respect to this Alcatel cellular phone, what software did you use?
That was Celebrite again.
And what did you do? Did you obtain any extracted information from the phone?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you do with it?
That was placed on a disk and returned to the investigating officers.
And did you examine another phone?
Yes.
That item number 10?
That'd be correct.
And what was that?
That was an Apple iPhone 4.
And what did you do with respect to this exam?
Again, that was, we used Cellbrite on that one and created a report with the system and put that on a disk and provided that to the originating agency.
You were able to obtain information from the Apple phone?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you sometimes have difficulty obtaining information from Apple iPhones?
We have difficulty obtaining information from all phones every now and then. So,
Okay, maybe that was a poorly worded question. Do you have difficulty accessing Apple iPhones?
Yes, ma'am.
And why is that?
Apple is very concerned about the user's data and security. Translated, they don't want me to drop my phone and have somebody pick it up and have all my life on it. Phones anymore that's kind of our connection to the world. It has passwords, it has private photographs and images and videos, videos of kids' birthdays. It's got bank cards, it's got all kinds of things on it. So Apple takes their user data security very seriously, which makes it difficult for us when we need to get into a phone without perhaps the cooperation of the owner, whether they be uncooperative or deceased or whatever it happens to be, or even just a lost phone.
So if it's passcode locked and the owner has not provided the passcode, are you able to access an Apple iPhone?
Apple iPhone 4 and below, we can do in-house. 4S to 5 or 5C, which is just another model, we have the ability to send that out to Celebrite to possibly get into. Pretty much anything 6 or 7, yeah, it's not even worth the time to try.
So Item number 10 that you received was an Apple iPhone 4.
Yes.
Were you able to examine that phone?
Yes.
And you did the extraction and sent it to the officers?
Yes.
Item number 11, could you tell us what that is, please?
That was another Alcatel, this model, this was A205G, and it's a track phone, which a track phone is a prepaid phone. So instead of having maybe Verizon or Sprint or AT&T, whatever you happen to be using, it's you buy a prepaid card and there's no monthly fees. So it's just, they call it prepaid. So you're paying for the time you use in advance.
Are there problems with examining track phones?
At this point in time, there was, again, a lot of our technology is ever improving. What TrackPhone does is they buy phones from the cheapest bidder, and then they either physically go in and remove wires, or electronically with software block the communications port to do anything besides charging the phone. And that's what we use to get into the phones, are the communications port. So if they're blocked or knocked out, we can't necessarily get into that phone besides the old thumb manual lookup.
And did you examine this track phone?
Yes.
Was it missing anything?
It did not have, I have it listed as MSD. That is it's a micro SD card, a memory card. It did not have a memory card, but it still contained the SIM.
So no memory card, but it had a SIM?
Correct.
And what's a SIM?
A SIM card is basically your account information, your subscriber identity module. It shows what company you're with, your account information. It's what makes your phone function on a network.
Would a SIM card be able to give you the phone number for the phone?
Yes.
Were you able to obtain the phone number on this particular track phone?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was the phone number on this track phone?
The phone number on the SIM was 906-367-0066.
And were you able to extract any information from this phone?
This phone, again, would not connect, so I had to do the manual, look through it and see what's on the phone.
And were you able to manually examine this phone?
Yes.
And what, if anything, was on the phone when you manually examined it?
I did not locate any calls and messages between that device and the number 231-709-2439.
And do you know whose phone number that is?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Okay.
Not to say that I did not. Right now,
Okay.
I'm not sure. I was also able to locate 3 missed calls on the device, all dated 10/16/14. I'm sorry. The last one, they're not answering, you hang up. That's a missed call. At 11:48 a.m. on the 16th, which would have been a restricted number, so we don't know who called. 2 other calls on 10/14/14. One at 6:19 p.m. and one at 7:58 p.m. And they were both from the phone number 423-307-4074.
Do you have any idea what relevance, if any, that phone number has to this case?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Do you know what the date of the offense in this case is alleged to be?
I believe it was October 14, 2014.
So this particular phone, the 367-0066, received 2 missed calls on 10/14 in the evening from an unknown phone number
Yes, ma'am.
with area code 423.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know whose area code that is or what state that's associated with?
I believe I looked it up at one point. I thought maybe Tennessee, but I can't recall for sure.
Was there any other information on the phone that you could see?
No, ma'am.
I'm going to direct your attention now to December 1st, 2014. Were you contacted by Chief Rizzo on that date?
We've been in contact pretty much, on and off through the whole, from October, through that date, yes.
And did you receive some files from her?
We received a shipment, I believe, on the 1st. Should have been, a few more property items.
Okay. And what were the additional property items? talked about, or these are different, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7?
The number 2 was the same. 3, here. There was one, it's right here. Number 2 was what we'd already talked about. The other ones were returned back to us for further analysis.
I have that you received items 12, 13, and 14 on that date.
On what date was that again?
December 1st, 2014. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. No, that's not correct. My apologies. Skipping ahead.
Okay.
So, you said that these were returned back to you. What did you do with them when you received them?
We report what it is, assign the property number, so we can track it through our system. So I can tell you what number 2 is, what number 3 is, what number 4 is.
And item 2 was the...
That was a portable hard drive, a portable hard drive.
Okay, so you initially had looked at the portable hard drive, you didn't see anything of evidential value. Or actually, it was a backup of the original computer, wasn't it?
Correct.
Of the laptop?
Correct.
So did you examine that again?
I don't know if we did any more with that or not. I don't believe anything more was done with that one. We just verified that it was, that's what it was, and then we got other things.
And you said, what was the other items that you received?
Looks like 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Okay. Did you receive an Apple iCloud backup?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what item was that?
That was that may have not been assigned the property number.
Is it possible that you would have received that via email in some format?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So you received an Apple iCloud backup as well. Is that close to the date of December 1st when you received these other items?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What would you do when you receive an iCloud backup file?
The iCloud backup file is what Apple stores if you have your phone and you back it up, or it does an automatic backup. Apple stores that in the cloud. The investigating officers subpoenaed or did a search warrant to Apple and were provided a copy of that data extraction. And it's really what it is, it's just data. What we did, we put that data into one of our software tools. This one was Lantern. I just decided that day to choose Lantern because it gives a really robust and easily understood and clear report. So this Apple extraction, this Apple iCloud extraction, I ran through Lantern.
And what, if anything, did you note of interest?
I didn't locate, there's a lot of data on that extraction, which you'd expect. I did know, to me, that there was a phone number of 906-284-3947. and that was associated with the call log of the device that this backup was made from, which again, just to clarify, that was a phone we did not have in our possession. So it kept call logs, the last 10 calls to and from that, in, out, and miss, the last 10 contacts from that phone, as indicated by that backup, was to 906-284-3947.
Did you do anything else regarding this? I mean, you said you used the lantern exam. Did you use another tool?
On this one, I don't believe, I think I was pretty happy with what it carved out, what it produced for us. So a report was made, and then that was given to the originating agency.
Okay, I actually have you in my report doing a Celebrate exam on this as well. The iCloud backup. The iPhone
Okay, yes.
cloud backup.
Okay, yep.
Okay,
It
is
looks
that
like I
correct?
did run it through the Celebrite system as well, but again, for testing it better, for validation, and for, make sure we're getting what we're supposed to be getting. With this one, I did run it through both of them, but provided at least the lantern extraction for the officers.
Okay, you did receive some additional information that I noted with respect to the Celebrate exam regarding, I believe, when the last backup was.
And I'm not sure whether that was from Celebrite or Lantern, but yes, no other data was contained in the backup past the date of 10/12/14.
And was there a time on that?
Lantern indicated that that time was 10/14 of 2014 at 00:00:000 Pacific time, which would be Apple time. So to me, my conjecture is that is the time the phone tried to back up or was due for a backup because it's midnight right on the button, but could not connect to the phone and did not complete a backup.
When was the last backup with any data actually registered?
That would be 10/12/2014.
And what time was that registered?
3:27 Eastern Daylight Time.
So you did create a report and that was provided to the agency?
Yes, ma'am.
I want to direct your attention to May 26, 2015.
Yes.
And let me just ask you this question. When you receive or you start a case, do you typically stay with the case the entire way through? So if additional items are submitted, such as they were in this case at different times, are you the one that does the analysis? Do you delegate it to someone else? How does that work?
It really just kind of depends. We are a fairly small office, and we all peer review each other. So if something comes in, it's a big case, or if multiple pieces of the property come in, I may work on one piece, my civilian examiner might work on another piece, another trooper might work on another piece. So it's not necessarily, you don't necessarily follow it all the way through just by yourself. It's a definitely a team effort.
So what were you provided on May 26, 2015?
It looks like items 12, 13, and 14.
And what were items 12, 13, and 14?
That would have been 2 cell phones and another computer.
Just going back for a minute, back to the iCloud backup file, were you able to determine what phone that iCloud backup file was associated with?
It would have been, I don't think I have it listed here, but that would have been on the search warrant that would have been provided, or if I looked at the report, it would tell me the Apple ID of the person who owned the account. And if my memory serves me correct, this was that Regan Chris at hotmail.com was the Apple ID associated with this extraction provided by Apple.
So this backup file had nothing to do with the iPhone 4 that you examined and extracted information from, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So items 12, 13, and 14, you have 2 additional track phones and a computer, is that correct?
Correct, but it should be noted that the number 12 here is that it's one of the Alcatel, one of the track phones, again, that was returned back to us because, again, technology is ever changing and we're constantly, we are reactive. But if we can't get into a phone tomorrow, 6 months or a year from now, we may be able to. And with this particular phone, the officer requested that it be reanalyzed to see if we can, by chance, gain more data from it.
So is this the same phone that you analyzed before with the SIM card number 3670066?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you able to obtain any information out from it when you examined it this time?
No, ma'am.
And then the next cellular phone, what type was that?
That was a Huawei, another track phone with no memory card.
And did that one have a SIM card?
I believe so. Yeah, it did have a SIM card.
Were you able to obtain any information out from that SIM card?
Yielded no useful data, so there was nothing really to report off of that.
And then with respect to the computer that was turned over to you, what type of computer was it?
That was an E-Machines EL1852G, a desktop computer.
And did that have an internal hard drive?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you examine that internal hard drive?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay, and what software did you use to examine this?
That was imaged with the FTK imager, again, that you spoke about. And this one, again, I utilized Internet Evidence Finder to process the image.
And were you able to verify the image?
Yes.
What did you do with this item after you verified the image?
Again, after conferring with the officer in charge, I was provided a key list, or a keyword list of things to search the drive for. And what this software enables us to do, we're able to input that keyword list into the system, and then instead of me going through or the officers going through and reviewing everything, it just looks for the keywords itself. The system does automatically.
And Your Honor, it would be my intent, I believe Mr. Schultes as well, to admit the extraction report from that machine, but I don't have it marked at this time, so I will work on that while Mr. Schultes is doing his questions.
All right, are you done with the witness?
I am.
Mr. Schulke, do you have any questions?
I have very few, but I'll be very quick. Afternoon, sir.
Afternoon, sir.
I want to talk to you about item 14 specifically.
Okay.
And it looks like, and I may probably oversimplify this, and if I do oversimplify this, please let me know. But you said you got a list from the officer that you're looking for some keywords, correct?
That's correct.
Machine. This is the E-Machine computer.
Yes, ma'am. Sir.
Some of the keywords, it doesn't look like that you personally did this, look at this report, but a Chelsea Cochran from your office. Is that someone that works in your office?
Right, and actually, I did an initial analysis of that system, but then she was provided more data or more information, at the first of, I have to look at the date. So I looked at the system initially with my keyword searches, and then there were more that were brought in later at a later date.
So like a keyword search, to simplify this, is you have a PDF file. It's like a little, I think it's a magnifying glass. It goes through and it will highlight or tell you how many times that word or that phrase or that website was visited. That'd be a fair way to explain that?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay, so looks like Ms. Colbert, from the report I'm looking at here, perhaps yourself did a keyword search looking for the phrases GPS, tracking, tracker, car, spy, and vehicle. Are you applying that occurred?
Yes, I'm looking at that report, yes.
Okay, very good then. And so again, on that machine, that it went through and went boom, 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 and looked and noted where every time one of those words would pop up, correct?
Correct.
And it looks like that it popped up on some websites, correct?
That is correct, sir.
And I'm looking at brickhousesecurity.com, correct?
Correct.
Looks like you guys visited once, correct?
Correct.
And on 9/8/14 at 9:41 in the morning, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then another one website was dhgate.com, correct?
Correct.
And visited once, correct? Sorry, I missed that. And also on 9/8/14 at 9:38 in the morning, correct?
That is correct.
And again, it just tells you that someone on that machine
Yes.
either Googled or went to those websites, correct?
That is correct.
And tell you who or why or how, just that they did.
You are correct, sir.
Thank you, nothing else.
Thank you. redirect limited to the scope of the cross?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. You may step down, and Detective West may be excused.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, members of the jury, this is good timing. It's 5 o'clock. We're going to adjourn for the day. Again, the media present in the courtroom, please avoid any contact with print or visual media. And you're reminded as to what you can discuss and what you can't, and who you can discuss it with. So, have a good evening, you're excused.
I'll rise.
9 o'clock, by the way, folks.